Welcome to Fight Club 24/7. My name's Johnny Rashman. Right, let's get straight into it. Feast of boxing action last weekend, especially in the UK. First of all, I've got to say, I think I speak on behalf of every UK boxing fan, that it's fucking annoying, right, when two cards clash, when fight cards clash, especially in the same city. It's just a nonsense. Absolutely ridiculous. You had Zach Parker and John Ryder for the WBO interim super middleweight championship, and then literally down the road you had Dillian Whyte fighting Jermaine Franklin, in the same city of London. I just don't understand it. Now, I know it can't be helped, but surely promoters have to speak and liaise with each other, right? It's counterproductive. It doesn't benefit anyone, especially the fans, to even have it in the same city. It's not like one's in Liverpool and one's in Manchester, or one's in Manchester and one's in London. To have them both in London, I don't understand that. And if you look at the Zach Parker fight, there was no one there. I've never seen so many empty seats at the O2 Arena, right? It's no good for anyone. So that has to be sorted out. So when you've got fight cards clashing, you're in and out of fights, you're not concentrating on one because you're looking at the other. I had my phone, I had the TV, I had the laptop on, it's just a nonsense. It annoys me, right? And I think it annoys every fan. But let's talk about Dillian Whyte first of all against Jermaine Franklin. I did post on Friday that Jermaine Franklin's unknown. Dillian Whyte could knock him out early, or it wouldn't surprise me if Franklin won the fight. It makes him a dangerous fighter, and I said anything could happen in the fight, and ultimately it turned out that way. Franklin proved us all wrong, right? Because a lot of people thought he was going to come over and Dillian Whyte was going to knock him out early doors, set up the Anthony Joshua fight. It didn't happen like that, did it? Right? Franklin, fair play, right, proved he's a good fighter. He's sort of got that Andy Ruiz style, very short, stocky, extremely fast hands, good combination puncher, but smart, had good boxing IQ. Every time Dillian Whyte would land somewhere, he'd retaliate, right, especially at the end of the round. Every time Dillian Whyte would land combinations, bang, it'd come straight back. So it was a back and forth fight. It was a great fight. Great fight. I know people hammering Dillian. It wasn't a great performance by him, but Franklin turned out to be better than what we all thought. He did. Right? He's a good fighter, smart fighter. And if you're asking me, did he win the fight? No, I don't think he did. You can't call it a robbery. I thought Dillian nicked it. I thought he did enough in the opening half, but I probably need to watch it back again because I was in and out of looking at the Zach Parker fight and John Ryder because it was literally on the same time. So I was in and out of it. But what I watched of it, you can't say it was a robbery, right? It was a very close fight. And I've got no issues with Dillian winning the fight. You've got to ask yourself the question, is Dillian Whyte coming to the end now? Right? Because for me, he looks lost between styles, and that's the byproduct of changing trainer. He's gone from Mark Tibbs to Buddy McGirt to I can't remember who he had for the Fury fight, whoever his last trainer was, and I don't know if I can't remember, it's gone from my head, but he's changing trainer, right, pretty consistently. And when you do that, it reflects in his style. You can see he's lost between two styles. Is he a box fighter? Is he a pressure fighter? Is he a counter puncher? Like, what's he trying to do in there? He looks lost. And I thought that in the Tyson Fury fight. And I think that now he just looks lost in between styles. And I do think he's coming to the end. You've got to remember, he's had a tremendously hard career, right? It's not just a career, it's all the training camps. He's had a tough life. He's had many fights. It's wear and tear on the body. And it looks like it's coming to the end for him. But let me tell you something, right? A lot of people, they'll look at Dillian Whyte and they'll slag him off. They'll say, oh, he's never going to be a world champion. Let me be crystal clear. Dillian Whyte has had the most fantastic boxing career for someone of his standing. As I always say, you have to put context into everything in life. You do, right? Not everyone's going to be a 5-weight world champion. Not everyone can be an undisputed heavyweight champion, right? Not everyone can compete at world level, right? You watch football, we watch the Premier League, you watch the Championship. Just because someone can't win the Premier League doesn't mean you don't support them. Doesn't mean they can't have a great career. And I think that gets lost in boxing, right? Okay, Dillian Whyte might never be a world champion, but from where he came from to where he is, that guy's winning. You've got to have ultimate respect. He started boxing with no promotional backing, nothing, right? I think he was fighting on Box Nation, small hall shows. He had issues with a drug. He failed a drug test years ago, so contamination with his, I think it was a protein shake, and he's had issues, right? And he's come from a kickboxing background, didn't have much of an amateur boxing career. If you would have said to Dillian Whyte in 2009, in 2022, you would have fought for the WBC Heavyweight Championship in front of 90,000 at Wembley for multi-millions of pounds, he would have laughed at you, right? The fact that he's done that, he's headlined pay-per-views, he's headlined arenas, great career. Like, what more do you want from this guy, right? Just because he's not a Usyk or a Fury doesn't mean he hasn't had a great career. And if you look at from where he's come from to where he is now, his career has been absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. Do you know how hard it is to headline an arena, which he's done many times, right? To be a pay-per-view fighter, right? And he has been a pay-per-view fighter. He's fought on Pay on Sky pay-per-view numerous times. That's extremely difficult to do. Not many fighters get the opportunity to be a pay-per-view fighter. There's only a small pool of fighters, right? And Dillian Whyte's gone on to do that. He's given us thrilling fights. I was there with the Chisora one fight in Manchester. It was AJ against Melina headlining it. And let me tell you something, that was one of the best fights I've ever seen. Chisora and Dillian Whyte won. Go and watch it. What an unbelievable fight. Absolutely just... For 12 rounds, it was like two lightweights. It was like the heavyweight version of Morales and Barrera. It was just non-stop combination punching. Two men fighting to the death, throwing everything in there, right? You've got to respect that. Rivers, again, Oscar Rivers, good fight. Okay, there was controversy with the drug testing and all that, but the fight was great. Parker was a good fight. He's given us some good, entertaining fights, and I think he's just kind of fighter. We'll probably miss him when he's gone. I hammered him last year when it was a Fury fight. I thought he acted wrong. I thought the way he was demanding money and not promoting the fight. For me, that was taking the piss out of the fans. I criticised him. I didn't think it was right. It didn't sit right with me. And I'll still have those thoughts, right? But I'm still a Dillian Whyte fan. And I've got tremendous respect for where he's come from, the tough life he's had. Right? No one's given him anything. He's earned every single penny. And he's earned millions of pounds on the sport. And very few fighters can say that. Right? So if you're asking me about Dillian Whyte's career, absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. Regardless what happens now, even if he loses his next 10 fights, doesn't matter. Great career. And he's still got a big payday against AJ. Right? I think that's a perfect fight for both of them. AJ needs... Whyte's on the decline, so AJ, you can't be fighting a Wilder or a Fury next, You might not even fight Dillian Whyte next, to be quite honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me if he fought Jermaine Franklin. I know Eddie Hearn has actually mentioned that. Wouldn't surprise me if he fought Whyte in the summer. But it's a perfect fight to make. Whyte's on the decline. I think AJ will win that fight. But it sells as bad blood. Right? It's a big payday for Dillian. And look, fair play to him. He's had a great career. You can't knock him. Fair play. Let's speak about the Nathan Gorman and Fabio Wardley fight. I thought Nathan Gorman would win the fight. I'm not going to lie. Wardley, to win a British title, again, from his background of no amateur experience, nothing, just a white-collar fighter, right? To win a British title is absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? I take my hat off to him. It's an unbelievable achievement. That is so hard to do with no amateur experience. And... as I say, I thought Gorman would win the fight. I did. And it played out how I thought it would a bit. I did say that Gorman's got to be careful early doors, right? I think he'll outbox him, but he's got to be careful early doors. Clearly, he got caught, didn't he? Right? And when the first round he did well, he was outboxing, he was jabbing him. The second round, again, obviously when he got caught. And the fight, I don't know, it's weird because Gorman was in that fight. I know it was only 3 rounds and he got knocked out and he got knocked down multiple times, but he was boxing well. He was boxing well. He was outboxing Wardley. And this is the problem Wardley's going to have, right? Can he get to world level and European level? I'm not sure. I don't know. Because, to win the British title was fantastic. It's great. But he's always swimming against the tide. Right, that lack of amateur experience when he comes up against a competent boxer who can last 12 rounds is going to struggle, because you can see he's explosive, he's got power, but you can see he's there, you can out-jab him. Gorman was doubling the jab up. He was boxing his head off at times, he was. And with Nathan Gorman, there's just, I don't know what it is. He's got all the ability, but I'm not going to question his heart. I'd never question that. Listen, he's a Gorman, right? He'll be related to the famous Bartley Gorman, bare knuckle fighter. Listen, they can all fight, right? So I never question those guys' hearts, ever. But I do question his dedication to the sport. Is he putting 100% into it? And is it, this is my life, this is how I'm going to make my money, and I'm going to do the best I can? Is he putting everything into it? Didn't look in the best shape. I don't know. You have to ask questions of it, because on the big occasions when it's been Dubois and it's been Wardley, he's not performed to his best, right? Even though he was having success in the Wardley fight, he just couldn't continue it for 12 rounds. Maybe it's a mental thing. I don't know. He has all the ability. I think he's only 26 as well. He's got that Tyson Fury. They've got that silky boxing pedigree, you know. He can box, he really can. I think he's British, he's better than British level Gorman. He could win a European title, he could compete with world level fighters. I just think he's got to get that dedication. It has to be dead all or in. You've got to question it, you have to, right? Because that's 2 times now where he's shown up. Dubois, okay, you can say future world champion, but he should be beating the likes of Fabio Wardley. He should be. Right, no matter how tough Wardley is and how strong he is, Nathan Gorman should be beating Fabio Wardley every day of the week. That's what should happen. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes now, Gorman. You just want to see a bit more from him, because you know he's a good fighter. Right, Zach Parker and John Ryder. Right, to say it was an anticlimax is a bit of an understatement. You know, it was on the same time as White and Franklin, so I'm looking at both. But I'm watching it, and first of all, as I said before, the empty seats was just so apparent. I mean, it's not great, is it? Where you've got an interim world title fight, and there's so many empty seats. It just, as I say, it doesn't do anyone any good. But when you get into the fight, it's warming up nicely. Parker's, rangy. He's having a bit of success. Ryder's creeping forward, he's getting closer, and you're thinking it's warming up to a good fight. Then all of a sudden it's the end of the 4th round, and you're thinking, right, okay, 5th round, and then casually Parker just strolls over and points to his hand, and that was it. Fight was over. And we've later learned he broke his right hand, which he did. He's not lying. He broke his right hand. But this will always be a debate, right? Did he quit? Could he continue? That will always be a debate, and that's harsh. I'll never say a fighter's quit unless I see him actually quit. There's a big difference between quitting and not being able to continue. If you've broken your hand, right, it's easy for us to say, you're quitting, you're this and that. He's at world level, right? If the hand's broken, you can't use it. That's not quitting. That's not being able to continue. However, there are fighters I know who have said, listen, use your other hand. Right, or you fight till you can't fight anymore. Right, you've got a potential Canelo fight on the line. Right, you go out on your shield. You hear this all the time, and I can see that point of view, but I'll always be from the fighter, right? Because let me tell you something: no one helps fighters when they struggle later on in life, because they're taking that much punishment. Right, and they can't speak properly, or they have mental health issues, and no one's saying, "Oh, you should go out on your shield," and no one's putting those words into people's heads then. So I think you've got to be really careful to say that a fighter's quitting, right? Because it's easy for us to say. At the end of the day, he's broke his hand, right? It's not like it was getting tough and he said, "Oh, I can't see," or "I'm struggling breathing." The hand was broke, right? But you did want to see him contest it and go, and the corner man pulling him out and him crying, or him really demanding to carry on, or at least come out for the other round, see if you can. He's a rangy fighter. I know it was his right hand and he's a southpaw. See if he could switch it, if he could maybe be an orthodox fighter for 8 rounds, just try and win it on the jab. It's early in the fight, isn't it? So it's hard to say, because if it was the 8th round, you'll say, fuck it, right? 4 rounds left. You do what you can. But it was the 4th round. It was early on. So look, I think he's 28, Zach Parker. He'll come again, right? He will. But it was just the way it was the way it was finished. It was just like, right, I've accepted it. That's it. Like there was no, he wasn't demanding to continue. It wasn't like, right, I'm going out on my shield, and you can see he was clearly injured. You know, I've seen fighters with broken jaws, with broken orbital bones, broken eye sockets, and leg injuries. You know, and they've carried on and. So I can see it from that point of view, but I'm never going to say he's quit, because you can see he's broke his hand early on in the fight, right? So maybe it was a smart move just to call it a day then, take no necessary damage, right? Get the hand fixed, because if he made that hand worse, maybe don't fight again, you know? So, you know, it's very easy for us to comment. You know, I know a lot of people are going to call him a quitter, and he will be questioned now. He will be. I think it's unfair, but like Daniel Debra, I didn't think he quit as well. I think, you know, again, there's a fine line between quitting and not being able to continue. This is boxing. They're not kicking the football. They're hitting people's heads, right? So you've got to look at it from that point of view. I wouldn't say he quit personally, but there's going to be a hell of a lot of people now questioning Zach Parker. And when it gets tough, when the going gets tough, is he going to be ready for it? That's what people... I'm not saying this. This is... I'm only going to report what fans are saying. Right? This is what the fans are saying. They're going to question his mentality. So it'll come again. He's a good fighter, but it's extremely disappointing, isn't it? I mean, it's the biggest night of your life. Potential Canelo fight. You know, the fight's warming up. It was... it's just gutting, wasn't it? But what can you do? Last but not least, Adam Azim. What an unbelievable talent this guy is, right? British boxing has been crying out for a prospect like this for many, many years. And he's the closest thing I've seen to Prince Nassim Hamed from a UK point of view. He really is. And what I mean by that is he has that box office appeal, right? Only certain fighters have it, where they just have this confidence, right? There's many fighters who are great in the gym, right? The Floyd Mayweather in the gym, the Muhammad Ali or the Mike Tyson in the gym, but they get under the lights, the pressure, the nerves gets to them. They don't perform the same. This guy performs in front of the lights, right? That's a very special, it's a very rare breed of fighter who actually does that, right? And he does that, this guy. And the shots he throws are very similar to Prince Nassim. Lead uppercuts, lead left hooks. Let me tell you something. The hardest punch to throw in boxing, or one of the hardest punches, is a lead uppercut. No trainer teaches you to throw that punch. When you're taught boxing, you're taught fundamentals. You're taught to throw the jab, keep your guard up, you know, protect your chin. 1-2, right? 1-2 left hook. You're shown basic punches, right? No one ever shows you to bang do a lead uppercut, right? Because when you throw that shot, you leave yourself exposed, right? You're taught to throw combinations. You're not taught to throw single shots, because single shots at world level are easy to read. If you just throw single shots, a fighter will block it, counter, step back, roll, come in, come out. There's so many things you can do. It's easy to figure out. That's why you throw your combinations. It's a game of chess. You might do 1-2, tap to the head and bang, whip to the body. You know, you're taught, you're making your opponent guess. Right? If you look at Canelo and Amir Khan, if you look at that knockout, it was he feints with a jab. Well, it's not really feint. He flicks the jab out to the body and bang comes in with the right hand. Now I guarantee you, he's probably thrown that jab to the body numerous times in that fight and not done anything off it. He just would have thrown it, right? And what's that doing at high level boxing? It's giving your opponent a false sense of security, because your opponent's thinking, right, okay, every time he's thrown to the body, he's not doing anything after that. He's just jabbing me to the body. So you get complacent. So you might block it. You might just block it like that. Or one time you might just use both hands. You might just get complacent. So I guarantee he's probably done that 20 times, Canelo. Gone to the body. Then the 21st time, he's brought the right hand in. And that's when Khan's fallen for it. His hands are gone. If you look at it, gone to the body, his hand, Khan's fell for it, his hands are down, bang, over hand right on the jaw. So that's why you're taught combination punches are feints. You're taught that. You don't just throw single punches, right? To be able to knock people out and to hurt people with lead uppercuts and lead left hooks, you have to have tremendous power, balance, and timing. You have to be a special fighter to do that at high level boxing. Right, you do. And Adam Azim does it like he's drinking water. It's so easy for him. He throws lead left hooks, lead uppercuts. He's got this right hand down to a T. It's no accident. It's a chopping right hand, and it's at the side of the head. Now, that punch will scramble your senses. It will take your feet away. It won't knock you out. You won't be on the floor sleeping, but you might think, your brain might think you're okay, but your legs are doing a jelly dance or you're on the floor. Right? That's what happens when you get hit the side of the head. You get hit there, you get put to sleep. Right? You get hit there, it'll hurt you. You don't get knocked out. Right? Chin is what puts you knocked out, and the side of the head, or on the back of the head, you're not allowed to hit the back of the head, but the side of the head is what scrambles your feet away, right? And if you see it numerous times in that Ryland Charlton fight, he was throwing this chopping right, and it kept hitting him at the side of the head, and that wasn't by accident. You can tell he trains that. He's accurate. He goes for the chin. He goes for the parts of the body that's going to cause the maximum damage, right? And he was throwing that shot so comfortably. He was just literally just gauging, bang, whipping that right on the side of the head. And that's what the knockout finished with, that shot. Right? It's a beautiful shot. It really is. And sometimes you look at fighters and they might try and throw the perfect shot. They'll throw a jab, come in with the right hand. Right? But sometimes it's the shots where you might throw the jab right hand and it's sort of gone off the glove and it's clipped the side of the head, or you've thrown the left hook and it's gone off the glove and the side of the head, and your opponents, and you've hurt your opponent that way. But there's not many fighters who actually train specifically to target that area, right? I know fighters do that, but I'm talking about real special fighters who will train that much that they're hitting that side of the head, they're going for that. It's not ricocheting off the glove and going to it. That's the target. And that's what Adam Azim does. I've noticed it. It's a chopping right hand. It's a very, very good punch. Right? Extremely effective. And what he does is he'll do a lead left hook. And what I mean by lead left hook is, if you're an orthodox fighter, you have your jab is your lead hand. Right? So this one is, so when I say lead left hook, that's a left hook. Right? And that's a jab. Right? Lead uppercuts, right? Again, they're so hard to connect with those punches. Chris Eubank Sr. was phenomenal at throwing that lead uppercut. Prince Nassim Hamed, and you can see Adam Azim does that. Right? He throws those shots, and he'll go to the body. Sometimes he'll throw straight left hook, and then his opponent thinks he's throwing a left hook, and he'll bang or whip it to the body. And the way he throws those shots, right, that is a special fighter. He makes it look so easy, and I believe he is the next big star of British boxing. I mean, 20 years of age. Granted, okay, Ryland Charlton, he's not a world champion or anything, but he's a decent English, British level fighter, tough man. And he's wiping through opponents like this, very similar to Prince Nassim. If you look at the great fighters, they get rid of their opponents, right? There's no 12 rounds messing around. They make their opponents... They knock their opponents out, or they finish them comfortably. That's the sign of a serious talent. And he doesn't let the pressure get to him. He just performs. When the lights are on, he performs. And I honestly think if you put him in with Ryan Garcia tomorrow, it's a competitive fight. Right? It may sound stupid. That's how good I think this guy is. Right, he's a scary talent. Right, the UK should be proud to have a fighter like this. He's come from nowhere. He's a reflection of boxer as a brand, because you can see the job they're doing. They're new, they're up and coming, they're young, they're fresh. You know, when Adam Azim ties in perfectly with them. You know, I never knew who he was. I'm not going to lie. Before he started fighting with Boxer, before Boxer came on the scene, I never knew who he was. So the job they're doing with him is phenomenal. Right, it is, and he's going to be a global superstar because he's on the right platform with Sky Sports. Right, if you're a sensational talent, UK based, you want to be on Sky Sports. You do. It's nothing about Matchroom or Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn's one of the best promoters, if not the best promoter in the world. If you're looking at promoters, Eddie Hearn's going to be top of the list all the time. He is, right, but it's the DAZN thing, isn't it? Right, so 9 times out of 10 you'll go to Eddie Hearn, but there are a small percentage of talents like Ben Whittaker, like Adam Azim, who are thinking, well, if I want to be a household name, I've got to be on Sky Sports. Right? That's where I need to be. So I can cross promote with football shows and Premier League, you know, and that is the place to be. And he's got the perfect team with Shane McGuigan. You know, he looks like a guy who's not going to let money get to his head. You know, he's got his head switched on. He's cool, calm, composed. 20 years of age. I mean, it's fucking frightening. Absolutely frightening. Listen, I've seen a lot of talents come through from the UK. Many, many talents. He's up there with the best of them. Maybe the best. That's how good I think this guy is. He's a sensational talent. If you've not watched him, if you're not from the UK, put him, add him as him, UK fighter, and just watch his fights, right? The class of him, he just oozes class. And Shane McGuigan has said he's the most talented fighter he's ever trained, and he's trained some good fighters, McGuigan. David Hay, George Groves, Carl Frampton, you know, world class Hall of Fame champions, you know, and he's saying this kid's the most talented fighter he's ever trained. Get behind him. For me, he could be Britain's best ever boxer. I don't say that lightly. I think that's how good I rate this kid. I generally believe he could be Britain's greatest ever boxer. He's that good. Honestly. It's scary talent. Scary talent. Go and watch him. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of the action at the weekend? Did Zach Parker quit? Has Dillian White got more fights in him? What do you think of Adam Azim? Like, comment, subscribe, let me know.